Welcome back everybody to episode 19 in our F1 Manager career mode, role-playing with Dario Franchitti being the boss of AlphaTauri. We have the US Grand Prix in Austin up today. We left off last episode from Japan. We have 11 days until we get to the US. But a few things being made. Nothing really going to be complete in terms of our big stuff though. Not until here. Basically when we're at the Mexican Grand Prix is when everything is going to be complete there. Chassis research, the underfloor research, and then the end day here, we will just finish the suspension on the same day that the testing period ends. That's not too bad, eh? It was a bit of a difficult Japanese Grand Prix for us. We had no issues in practice. There were lots of incidents, lots of spins, lots of crashes, and the race itself wasn't overly busy as that. There were a few incidents in the race as well, but the main ones, unfortunately for us, centered on our drivers. Pierre spun a couple times, didn't hit anything fortunately, and was eventually able to recover to finish just in the points, last man lapped in P10. And Yuki only made one mistake, but it resulted in him hitting a wall and needing a new front wing with about 10 laps to go, I think. So that put him back. Otherwise, I think he probably would have finished 11th or 12th without that, but instead I think he finished P14 or 15, so not the greatest day for us. We lost more ground to Alpine, who are only 13 points behind us now with 4 races to go. I am wondering if we should try and drop behind them so we have more wind tunnel and fluid dynamics time for next year. Might not be a bad shout. Our objective is to finish 6th or above. If we finish 5th, I'm pretty sure they'll be fine with it, but we'll see. Fred Gill has come back to us with a potential up-and-coming driver, Zach O'Sullivan. It's in the F3 series, 17 years old, high growth potential. Only got a 49 overall though. We are currently scouting other people as it is. So another guy that we might be able to do later on. We got 3 facilities on the go. The weather center is being upgraded, or will be upgraded in 17 days, the factory in 31, and then the hospitality area in 41. I don't think we will spend any money on anything else for our HQ this year. I'm pretty happy with what we got. The factory will be upgraded to a level 3, same as the design center. Whereas I think maybe next year we'll do these 3, get them up to level 3 as well. But I'm pretty happy with where we're at currently. A pretty uneventful race build-up to the Texas Grand Prix. So I will see you at the Circuit of the Americas.
Welcome to the United States Grand Prix. We're in Austin, but there are no wild cowboys on the track this weekend, just some serious horsepower. It's sure to be a race to remember. The Circuit of the Americas has it all. Twists and turns, steep climbs, fast corners, and a power-hungry Sector 2. Quite a headache to balance, even if teams will be looking at maximising downforce overall. This is it. We're down to the last few races of the season, and it's time for that final push. Who will be crowned champion at the end of it all? We'll find out soon enough. Stay right here, because we're just getting started.
So I think for practice 1, we are going to put Liam Lawson in the car. Looks like we're in for a clear weekend. No rain is predicted. So I'll catch you after practice.
Oh, there's a spin! We can take a look now. Now we see Valtteri Bottas. And yes, that's where they spin out. Oh, big lock up there. Let's see what happened there. Now look at this. It was the AlphaTauri driver involved. That lockup could have cost them dearly. Was that a lockup on the track? Let's take a look at the replay. Now look at this. It was the AlphaTauri driver involved. It's a lockup, and that could be costly. There's been a crash. Sounds like a single car. Let's take a closer look. So this was the Aston Martin. And that's an off, and a big off. It's a crash. We can take a look now. All eyes on Kevin Magnussen here. And there we see the crash. Let's see what happened there. Okay, so there we have the Alpine. And there's the collision. It's caused absolute carnage. Did somebody spin out there? Let's have a look. Okay, here's the Ferrari. They spun the car. What a disaster. Welcome back as we continue our race weekend with practice soon to finish and then qualifying hot on its heels. While many eyes may be drifting ahead to the big race, the teams and their drivers will be fully focused on the task at hand here today. Those who make the most of the free practice sessions will head into qualifying knowing that they've given it their all and done everything in their power to cement themselves a good strong position on the asphalt tomorrow. So here we are, ready to resume. We've had a crash. Here's the replay. So this was the Aston Martin. That crash is terrible news for the team. I think that was a crash. Let's take a look at the replay. Now just take a look at the McLaren. There's the crash.
So at the end of all three practice sessions, we have slipped back in the battle with particularly Alfa Romeo. Looks like we're about 0.3 to half a second behind those guys. Which are around about the same pace as what the Alpines are, but we don't know how hard they were pushing in practice. But both Alfa Romeo and Mercedes seem to have taken a step forward. As you can see, George Russell there, 7.5 tenths off the ultimate pace, and we are double that. So I don't think we'll be keeping up with the Mercs this time round. Keeping up with the Alphas might be a bit of a struggle as well. So I think maybe we'll be trying to see if we can stay in front of the two Alpines. And even the Hasses, they look pretty good. Yuki has been about 6 tenths off Pierre's pace in both FP2 and practice 3. Obviously in FP1 he was our lead car, a good 4 to 5 tenths clear of Liam Lawson. But he was on pace with Alonso in that one. There are a few incidents. I'm sure I will have the replays for you. I think the only ones that retired, I think Vettel and K-Mag in practice 2 both retired from their crashes. And I think in practice 3, Stroll might have had an off, and I think it was one of the McLarens. I want to say Lando. Yeah, they only did 7 laps and 12 laps respectively, so the fight is pretty tight at the top between Ferrari and Red Bull. I wonder if Ferrari have brought an upgrade for this race, because the last couple of races, Red Bull have been easily the team to beat, whereas this time around, Verstappen was fastest in practice 1, but then the Ferraris, particularly Carlos Sainz, flexed his muscles and went fastest in practice 2 and 3. We've been using old components. All 3 parts in both cars have been in the yellow for the warning, and right towards the end, just before we pitted actually in practice 3, we had a pop-up for, I think it was the ERS in Yuki's car that said it was a major issue now. So it looks like once you get below 25% with the engine components, that's when you really start noticing the issues. I mainly wanted to use them because then we have slightly fresher things for qualifying in the race. So that's why we decided to go with that in the practice sessions. Yeah, there you go. There's our car parts for Pierre. The engine at 28%, ERS at 25%, and gearbox at 26%. And Yuki's, his engine was at 24%, so it was engine and not ERS. ERS is at 28% and the gearbox at 26%. So we're going to give them a lot fresher components for qualifying, and hopefully that 1.5 second deficit between us and the front runners can be reduced significantly. I'll catch you after qualifying. So we went out just the one time right at the end of the session and just managed to sneak Yuki through by a couple tenths there in front of Magnussen. Well, I guess he's 4 tenths clear of Vettel. Pierre did a pretty good lap. As you can see, he's ahead of one Ferrari and looks to be on pace with the Alphas. So that's not too shabby. A few penalties, Ricciardo, Guan Yu and Ocon and Stroll. I believe Ocon may have had his penalty from an incident in one of the practice sessions. I vaguely recall a crash where I think it was one of the Alpines, I'm pretty sure it was Ocon, hit, I want to say Vettel, at the hairpin. And as we know from the previous race, when Yuki got a penalty for doing the same thing, and so did Leclerc actually, I guess the FIA are pretty strict about doing things like that. So we fulfill our qualifying obligation in terms of the sponsors. We needed to get both cars through to Q2, which we have achieved, and hopefully we can get Pierre through into Q3, and we'll see how things go from there.
And that's the lockup! Let's take a closer look. Now let's look at this, the focus on Tsunoda. Just a bit too heavy on the brakes, and they've locked up.
Right, so confirmation that Yuki is eliminated in Q2. He had a bit of an issue on his last run. He locked up on his outlap and had, I think it was Sergio Perez right on him. And I think Perez and Tsunoda were fighting away on their final lap. So I don't think either of them improved. Yeah, as you can see, Yuki was a good 2.5 tenths off what he did in in qualifying 1, and had he managed to achieve that time, he would have been in front of K-Mag. Pierre did a real good job there, found a little bit of time to be mixing it with the Mercedes, about 1.5 off George, a 1.5 off Lewis, and 0.3 off George. Ricciardo and Zhou make it in, but they have penalties. Bottas squeaked in by 1/10 of a second over Fernando, so both Alpines are out. So that's good for us, and it's doubly good because we don't have any penalties, whereas Ocon does, so he's going to be starting further back. The other guys who are out are Lando and Kevin Magnussen, and then in qualifying 1, the 5 guys, as per usual, both Astons, both Williams, and Mick Schumacher. Although Vettel did beat Mick this time round, so maybe Aston Martin are slowly getting their stuff together. Be interesting to see how they go next year and what drivers everyone takes. I've actually got my eye on Kevin Magnussen for next year. and I've been having my eye on him for the last handful of races, and he's basically made mistakes in all of them, so I don't think I'll go with Kevin anymore. Sainz tops the times again, found a tiny bit more time there. Leclerc found a good 7/10 from what he did in Q1, and is now ahead just of Verstappen, so I think the Ferraris definitely have brought an upgrade for this race. Otherwise their car just really suits the track and it doesn't suit the Red Bull. But Mercedes have also made a bit of a jump, because George is only, what, a 10th off Max? So that's close enough to be able to be fighting with those guys. We're a little bit further back. If we can hang with the Mercs, we might be able to pull away from the other guys behind us, but we'll have to wait and see. We've got to get through Q3 first, see how far up the grid Pierre can get. Can he get one of the Mercedes? Both of the Mercedes would be great, but can he get one of them? That'd be amazing. Catch you after Q3. And that's all she wrote for qualifying 3 there. We are P7. Once again, Pierre found a tiny bit of time. He was the only one to improve on his second run. Everybody else used up their new set at the start of the session, whereas we used an old set and then put on the new set at the end. But Verstappen manages to do it again and spoil Ferrari's day. We are P7 there, a couple tenths in front of Valtteri, and Guan Yu and Ricciardo 9th and 10th. They both have penalties, of course. We'll see where they start for the race. But overall, not too bad. I'm reasonably happy with that. We weren't quite as slow as I feared.
The time has come for these drivers to fight it out wheel to wheel. Race day has arrived.
AlphaTauri did rather well in qualifying. Let's see if they can manage to achieve a strong start for the race itself. We saw a reasonable push from Mercedes in qualifying, and they'll have plenty of opportunities here to achieve a great result. The weather is very overcast here, and teams are staring at the sky watching for the first sign of rain. Strategies might have to be quite flexible going into today's race.
No doubt there's a lot to contend with here at the United States Grand Prix. It's going to be a thrilling outcome to a thrilling weekend.
So a cloudy race, as the commentators mentioned, possibility of rain, but I don't think it will. According to ours, there's no little rain cloud, so hopefully it just stays overcast and we get a dry race in. Of course, any wet weather will certainly spice things up a bit, but I'd rather a dry race because it's just a little bit more predictable in terms of doing strategies. So Yuki does indeed jump Zhou Guanyu and Daniel Ricciardo, starting P12. Yeah, that's the strategy that the game has picked for us. Medium, hard, medium. If we can stretch that out, we might be able to put a soft on at the end instead of the medium, but we'll see. They can only do about 15 laps, so we're really going to have to take it easy in the first 2 stints. And I'm hoping with the fuel burn we'll be able to do, that might help us out a bit. But of course, at the start of the race, we're going to go full on aggression, see if we can gain any places, and see how we go from there.
The drivers have now taken position on the grid, and it's looking like a cloudy day. And there we have Pierre Gasly. Not as close to the front as they might have wished for, but we know the race order can change a lot during those first few corners. And behind them, there's Tsunoda. They'll be starting the race from the bottom half of the grid, so there's a fair bit of ground to make up. The race start is mere seconds away. Here we go. It's the United States Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
See a good mix of mediums and softs. Yeah, it looks like it's pretty split on which is the better tyre. We maintain position just behind the Mercedes. Alonso makes up a spot on Valtteri,
Looks like Aston Martin have just
and Vettel gets around Yuki, but Yuki fights back. So the guys on the mediums have fresh tyres, whereas the guys on the softs in the top half of the grid, and Ricciardo of course with his penalty, have used softs, so they're going to be a little bit further back, I think. Okay, we're trying to stay with the Mercs. I think we might have just got DRS. We're going to use deploy here a bit. Well, again, we'll save a little bit of the tyre, I think, if we can. And just use deploy and the engine power. Or the engine mode, I should say, in aggressive. See if we can pull away from Fernando as he and Valtteri fight it out. So I really do want to stick with the Mercedes in this one because I think that's going to help us enormously.
Okay.
Copy. Yellow flag 15.
Copy.
Let's see what happened there. Now let's look at this. The focus on Tsunoda. And that spin is undoubtedly going to cost them time.
Oh, Yuki. Go neutral. I'm going to have to go neutral with him as well, I guess. So he's last. Of course he is. I'm going to have to keep an eye on the gap from Pierre to George. Yuki's gotten around.
Spin. Let's have a look. Now watch this. Here's the moment involving Albon. Look at that! They've spun their car. And the team had such high hopes today. What a shame.
Albon, I was going to say, but that's why Albon had a spin. He also just passed Latifi, so we'll see how he goes. He's a couple seconds behind Lance.
Regained a place.
And Pierre is still managing to stay with the Mercedes. If you can just stay in DRS until like lap 12 or something like that, that'd be amazing.
That's a position gained for
They're in.
AlphaTauri.
They are all in. Okay, well, we're going to use a bit of our battery power then. See if we can maybe close up a little bit of ground on Mr. Hamilton. So I think we're pretty much stuck. So I'm going to go back to neutral on the ERS. And I think we're just going to have to hope that Russell, Perez, Leclerc are all in a bit of a DRS train and can't get around. Looks like Vettel is the cork in the bottle there. Up there, P6. Fernando's 9 seconds behind us. And I think he's on mediums. Yes, he is. So we're going to keep going. Danny Rick is in the pits. We'll probably go to about lap 16, 17. When is our scheduled pit stop? Our pit window opens in 3 laps. Ocon has gotten around Vettel. Oh, Vettel spun, that's why.
Here's the replay. Taking a look again, it involves Sebastian Vettel. That looked like a very nasty spin.
That might have cost him a little bit of time there.
Really disappointed with that. Let's hope it doesn't set them back too badly.
We'll see. They also have to negotiate Zhou Guanyu and Esteban. Sainz is in. What is Carlos going to? Carlos is going to... Looks like another set of the mediums. It is another set of the mediums. Okay. So I think we might do the same thing.
We've had a car run wide.
Medium, medium, hard, maybe. I'd rather go on the mediums at the end, though. So what tyres is everybody on? Max has gone to a set of the mediums. They've all gone to a set of the mediums. Are they going to go medium, medium, hard? If that's the case, we're going to go onto the hard. Oh, hang on. What's the delta here? Looks like it's about half a second. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go on the hards for Pierre. We're going to do it now, I think. And we're also going to pit Yuki onto a set of the hards. We do have soft compound tires available if needed. But yeah, we are going to go onto a set of the hards, I think, now.
Box.
For both drivers. And see what we can do. We probably come out around Bottas. Probably. Well, we might be in front of Bottas, we'll see. Alonso's also in. Here comes the little train up the hill. Okay, so we need to push now if we want to catch that up. I don't know if we'll be able to, though. We'll see, I think. Oh, Yuki is in. 2.7 seconds, not too shabby.
Confirmed. Better last pitches.
Where's he going to emerge? P17. In front of Vettel, but behind Stroll. Okay, that's fine. I think he might be there. I think Pierre might have just managed to get in range here, so I'm going to go neutral. He has. He's got DRS. And Yuki's also in range of Stroll now, so I'm going to go neutral for both of them. And hopefully that can stay there. So this helps us. This means that we are just going to pull away from Fernando. Even if we lose DRS in like 4 or 5 laps, I'm fine with that. I don't really want Pierre to pass him. I think I just want to stick with these guys for as long as we can right now. I wonder if we should try and save some tyre. That might be an idea. If we go light and push, we might be able to save the tyre a little bit. We're going to chew up the engine, but that's fine. The longer we can stay with them, the better. They don't have much tyre life left. 34%, 32%. They might be pitting this time by. We'll have to be ready for that. 26 laps to go in the race. Let's see, are any of them pitting? All 3 of them are pitting. Alright, so now we're going to go. So yeah, we need to go now. So we're going to go on neutral. And we're still going to push on the engine. And we'll see what we can do from here. What tyres are these guys going on to? I think George might hit the... actually no, Perez will probably hit the box first.
And we have margin to push a little bit more on the tires.
I'm guessing they're going on hards because they... yes, they are.
Keep focus, everything can happen. Keep focus.
George jumps past Leclerc. Lando gets around Yuki. Russell's in still. Sorry, Bottas is in. So is Ricciardo and Magnussen. We are with Lando, so I'm going to go balanced, I think, for Yuki. See if we can maybe do anything about it. There goes George on Zhou Guan Yu. Charles has a look, can't manage to do it. And he's 2 seconds behind Sergio. So did all those guys go on hards? They have. Good to know. And I presume Sainz, Verstappen and Lewis will go on to hards as well. We're just going to keep going. And I think we'll be able to get the engine back a little later. Or maybe we should. Hang on. Let's go balanced and deploy, I think, for both of these guys. We'll save a little bit of engine, maybe. Have to see if this works out. Perez now 12 seconds behind. 20 laps to go. And the more laps we can do on this set, the better. Because we might be able to push the tyre a bit. Pit window is now active. Still a few laps away though. So Yuki fell off a bit there, eh? He's 12 seconds behind Ocon. Of course, the longer Pierre can hold up George, the better it'll be for us. If he can hold him off for the rest of the lap, that'd be pretty good for us. So in comes Pierre for his last stop. 13 laps to go. Should be able to push on the tyre a bit. And we will have a fresh compound advantage. We might be able to get fastest lap, maybe. Have to see on that. It's going to re-emerge in front of Valtteri. And now we see where we're looking at. So let's watch Yuki. He's got K-Mag right on his butt. In he comes. So we emerge P7, 3 seconds in front of Valtteri. Fresh set of mediums ready for Yuki, and away he goes. 2.6, good stop, boys. We'll re-emerge in front of Sebastian. By about a second. Good job. Alright, we're going to go back to Pierre here. And I think we're going to go for a fastest lap. We need probably around 60%, I think, to be able to do anything. Should get around Latifi here, and he has. Okay, so we are going to do a lap, I think. 60% should be enough. So let's try it, eh? Go on aggressive. Just for a lap. Because if we can close that gap down, or even nick that point for the fastest lap, that's going to help us against Alpine. There we go.
Very good lap.
He has managed it. So let's go back to standard. And we'll go back to neutral. See what we can do. Then we probably don't really have to worry about Yuki right now, do we? We'll see.
We've just had a spin. Let's take a look at the replay. Okay, here's the Ferrari.
Oh,
Spin out.
around goes Leclerc. That's going to help us. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to get around Leclerc. We do have the tyre advantage though. We might be dragging Charles with us, to be honest. I don't know if Sergio's tyres are gonna get there. To check on that, eh? So Yuki is going to be safe in P14. He's not going to be able to get Ocon. We're actually going to gain ground on the Alpines, who are out of the points right now, unless Alonso can find a way around Ricciardo. Half a second behind these boys. Sergio has a look up the inside of George, makes it stick. Okay, so I think now is the time. We are going to go aggressive, push,
We have margin to push a bit more.
Yeah.
and overtake. If we're going to go everything.
Yeah.
Science gets the win.
And Sainz crosses the line first. He's taken the win.
Check reflect, this is 11.
Pierre throws it up the inside.
To be honest, like, I don't know. Like, really no pace for this car, to be honest.
Sergio is still there.
We'll review everything. And slow down, slow down.
Battery is on the low side.
Okay.
You're doing a good job.
Drag race to the line. Not quite. Not quite. Very close though. We nearly beat a Red Bull on pace.
Well, this weekend, Pierre Gasly flew us to the stars. This was well deserved for AlphaTauri. A solid weekend of racing.
It's really wonderful to see all the hard work they've been putting in paying off like this.
And after this result, the team is fourth in the constructor standings.
We're nearing the end of the season and it's time for some serious heat. Stay with us as Formula One moves to Mexico City.
So end of the Texas Grand Prix, and as you can see, Sainz managed to hold on just over a second clear of Verstappen there. Lewis did really good to finish up on P3, grab another podium there for Mercedes. George managed to beat out Sergio on the last couple of laps. I think he passed him, and then Sergio, no, the last lap down the DRS straight. That's right. Pierre couldn't quite get Sergio there. Get top 5, so we'll have to make do with P6, and fastest lap by what, over a second? So that's not bad. An extra point there, sweet. Leclerc, not a great day for him. Carlos is going to pick up a decent chunk of points on him there in P7. Valtteri started 8th and finished 8th. Zhou Guan Yu gets some points, or more points for Alfa Romeo there, up 8 spots to 9th. Likewise, Ricciardo up 8 spots to P10 there, gets a point from McLaren. Drivers' Championship, 18 points in it between Leclerc and Sainz. Lewis pulls more ground out on Pierre for P5. George closes in a little bit. He's now only 13 points behind Pierre for P6 with, what, 3 races to go? That could be a good little fight if George can maintain getting... He needs 5 points a race, right? That's possible. That is possible. Alonso and Ocon stay where they are, no points for them. Valtteri gains a little bit of ground. I think the last time we were 10 points behind, or they were 10 points separated, those 3. Alonso through to Bottas. Now it is down to 7. Constructors' Championship, all but wrapped up, if it's not wrapped up already, for Ferrari. They are, what, 174 points clear on Red Bull, We gain 9 points on Alpine due to a poor race from the French team. Alfa Romeo gain a little bit of ground. McLaren pull out a point on Haas, and Aston and Williams stay 9th and 10th. We gain 2.8 million there, having to pay out Pierre with his bonus clause for finishing P10 or better. Yuki doesn't get that, unfortunately for him, so a little bit more money in our pocket, so I guess that's a good thing. The short turnaround to the Mexican Grand Prix, just 4 days, so I will catch you in the next episode. Overall, pretty happy with how that race went, so tune in next time. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Have an awesome day, like, subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.